All right, guys, here is another kind of topic, kind of Dirkscussion video. And I've talked about budget knives a lot. I've done videos on all three of these, and these are just examples of some budget knives, right? The Kubi KB237, which I love, like 40 bucks on Amazon. The Best Tech Man Ronin. I don't remember the price off the top of my head on this one, but a super awesome, cool budget knife. And then the Elite Tactical Parallax, I think is what this one, Parallax, yep, that I got sent in from Sharper Edge USA. Just examples of some budget knives. I think this is like 40 bucks, 40 bucks, 50 bucks, something like that. Anyway, yes, I know that primarily on my channel, I'm doing more full-on custom knives. Some are, super fancy. Some are not as fancy. It just kind of depends, right? I like to collect the custom knives. And maybe we'll figure out a video on that at some point on the philosophy of why I collect what I collect. I kind of want to keep up with the Joneses sometimes, so I have to have these knives. FOMO comes in, the fear of missing out when there's a limited run or there's a one-off super custom. I do gravitate towards those because of the exclusivity. But let's go back to a simpler time when all we knew about was budget knives. And I still carry budget knives. It depends on where I'm going and what I'm going to do. Because if I'm going to go out camping into the desert, do off-roading stuff like I do, I am more apt to take something like this for the day or the weekend or the week than something like this out into the field and the dirt and the grime and stuff, right? Because while I carry these and I use them, don't have any safe queens here, really. And this is the Frank Fisher Fury that I didn't mention, which is quite a bit more than the $40 or $50 of these other ones. I don't mind using this, and I don't mind if it gets scratched. Will it break my heart just slightly? Sure. But because of that, I'm not going to take it into an area or into a situation where it's absolutely going to get scratched and beat up. That's just not how I carry my knives. If I'm going to go into a harsh environment, I'm going to take something that's more affordable or something that's just not quite as fancy as this. It might be a different custom, maybe, that's just more plain Jane. But I do take into account sort of the price of the knife or the beauty of the knife. Maybe is a better word. Because if I'm going to use it, something like this, or this, or this, I don't care if it gets scratched up, dinged up, chips. Like, I don't care what these end up looking like, because these are more user tools. This, I would care if it got really damaged. If it got some scratches, something on my pocket, a little scratch in the blade or something from actually using it, I'd have no problem with that. But I don't want to beat it up just to beat it up, if you will. But so there is a really good reason to carry a budget knife. And I'm not saying you should add to your daily carry devices or tools. Just did a video on that, talking about what do you carry and why. Totally forgot to pull the coin out here. I'm not saying that you should carry this in addition to a fancy knife. I'm saying there's certain situations where I carry this instead of a fancy knife. Another really good application or scenario to carry a budget knife for me is sometimes when I'm traveling and I'm in an unfamiliar area and I'm going out to an event with some friends or whatnot, depending on the situation, I may carry a budget knife because we may get to somewhere and they're doing screening and you're not allowed to take knives into the event. Well, I'm out of town. I'm in a different city. I parked over there and I took the bus or the train in. I don't have anywhere to go put this back in my car. So something in the 40, 50, $100 range, I don't know that I would mind as much just tossing in the dirt or tossing in the trash can or, maybe, and there's been some other YouTube people and friends of mine that have talked about stashing it in a planter box around the event. And when they come back out, it's still there stuffed in the planter box. I would have problems stuffing this in the planter box or this or any of my other custom knives and hoping that it's there. So I don't want to lose a fancy custom knife. So it's kind of twofold, depending on where I'm going and what I'm doing. So there are places for budget knives. And if we think back, like I kind of started with a simpler time. One of the funnest times in my life was when I was an hourly employee as a late teen, early 20s. Back in the late 80s. Okay, I've dated myself. It was just my birthday. I am 54. I have no problems with that. It is what it is. But back in the late 80s, I remember working at fast food. I got paid by the hour, like $3.50 an hour, $3.75. I think I got a raise. And I remember we got paid. It was real paper checks back then. Some of you guys don't even know what a paper check is. And we would go to the liquor store next in the same little shopping center strip mall thing where our fast food restaurant was. And we would go cash our checks there and give the guy whatever, his 2% or 1% or whatever he was charging us as a facilitation fee. And we would cash our checks and we'd buy some stuff there from him to say thank you and all that stuff. And then we'd be broke in a few days. We'd save enough money for rent, but then we'd be kind of broke because we bought some, whatever we bought, goofy stuff, right? Stupid stuff for our car, some 18-inch speakers, 1,000-watt amps, whatever dumb stuff we were buying back then. That was the simpler time. And that's what budget knives kind of bring me back to, a simpler time when I started collecting, when I said I would never spend more than $500 on a knife. Obviously, that's a lie. Do I regret evolving and upgrading to custom knives? Not one bit. I have met some amazing people as I've ventured into the custom world. And people that I call now my friends. Ed Kim from Red Horse Knife Works, Frank Fisher, Todd Fisher, TJ Fisher, Jim Skelton, Jason from VC Edge. Like all of these guys, I consider them all friends. I can reach out to them at any time. I can ask them questions. And so I'm not upset that I've evolved from the simpler times, but sometimes I just want to throw a budget knife in my pocket and go about my day. No cares in the world. It just brings me back to kind of a simpler, funner time in my life. I'll leave you with that. Let me know your thoughts on budget knives and simpler times in your life. I would love to get your feedback. Thanks a lot, guys.